Welcome. People are joining.
Welcome. Good
I
morning.
see Brian. I see
Hey.
Patricia. I see Adam, Tommy, Ken. I see some person's face. I'm not sure who that person is, but they're a beautiful blonde, whoever it is. I'm sure. Toya, Paul, Jenny, Linda, welcome. Ryan Leach actually is our next guest next month. I'm excited to have Ryan Leach on next time. We're going to be talking about real estate, crypto mining, actually, something I'm getting into in a small way right now. Looks like Linda's coming on. Jenny Rudder, Kevin Femley. He's connecting to audio though. He has technology. Yeah, he probably has to get his assistant or his bookkeeper to help him with that. Right, Kevin? Oh, I hear him now. Or maybe it's Brian laughing over there.
That was me laughing.
Yeah.
That
Brian's on the golf course. Somehow he's on the golf course every Saturday morning. Not sure how that happens there.
Wouldn't that be awesome? No, that's actually one of my favorite courses of all time. It's outside of Hagerstown, Maryland.
Oh,
Musket
I can
Ridge.
promise you I've never been there.
What's that?
I said I can promise you I've never been there.
Well, it's about 2.5 hours from where I used to live in Virginia, and I used to play in this tournament with Tellabs every year. It was for veterans. They paid the entry fee, and it was 54 holes in one day. You play your own ball.
Wow.
Play it all, put everything out. That's phenomenal. It's one of my favorite holes.
That's a lot of golf.
Yeah, you got to love golf.
I can't golf that much.
I don't know. You'd be surprised.
But you have to be young, I think.
I don't know.
Younger than me.
Well,
all right. Well, we're going to kind of just get it kicked off here.
Go for it.
You're a little bit older than me, not much.
How old are you, Tom? How old are you?
About 10 years.
That's a bit.
Aaron, can you guys hear me?
Hear you great. Great.
Okay, good. All right, good. So everybody, I'm in a hotel right now. I'm actually traveling with my family. It's our kids' spring break this week, and today I get to be the Dadalorian, and that's what we're doing today. I'm actually going to Aaron's house, my assistant. We're leaving from this call and driving out there, and we'll be out there this week. And then we're going to get to go see David at Sight and Sound right by Kevin Femley's neck of the woods on the way back next Saturday. So pray for us this week. We'll be doing that. I think we're also going to go see Monticello on Monday, which is, I think, Jefferson's home. So we're going to have some fun next week as well. And then we're going to be at Jim Ingersoll's Deal Maker on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. We're doing a mastermind. So if you guys are going to be at the Deal Maker, I will see you guys next week with Jim Ingersoll. Jim's actually promised to be on one of these calls and really talk about real estate and his little journey in crypto as well. He hasn't done much in crypto, but me and him have talked a lot about it this last year. So the next two calls, I do want to let everybody know we do have people already lined up for the next two calls. And the next call is going to be on April 4th, or is it the 3rd, Aaron? Aaron's sixth dad. Did you jump off, Aaron?
No, I'm here. It's the 2nd.
Okay. The 2nd, I'm sorry. So it's a Saturday. It's always Saturdays. So April 2nd is going to be the next call. And we're going to have Ryan Leach. He's from Richmond, Virginia. And right now they're mining Ether. And he's got a bunch of mining rigs. He's going to show us about what he does and what he has to offer as far as getting involved in what he's doing. He's not one of these huge, massive players, which I've been introduced to quite a few of these in the last couple months, where they've got rigs and all this stuff offshore and in different countries. And in Russia, a lot of them actually are in Russia, probably not a place you want to have right now. But they're all local, right, to Richmond, Virginia. So if you're interested in investing in that type of investment, or he's also going to talk about, setting up your own and how you can do, how you can mine crypto yourself. I'm actually going to go out this month and actually buy a Helium HNT miner and just start that whole process. I'm also going to try to get one of my friends on, Al Williamson. I think a lot of you guys know him. I talked to him this last week. He's making $8 to $9 a day with his Helium, which is, I think, pretty good when you consider it only costs about probably $800 or $900 to get into that whole thing. So you multiply that by 365 and look at your return. I know it's not a ton of money, but it's interesting for sure. And then the following month, we're going to be doing it the second Saturday in May. So the first Saturday in May is a conflict on my schedule. So we're going to do it the second Saturday in May, May 14th, and that'll be with Corey Boatwright. So some of you guys may know him, some of you guys may not, but he's been in real estate for a long time. But he started investing in crypto way back in like 2014, 2015. So I think it'd be interesting to have his take on, for a lot of the people that are on this call are real estate investors. So, it'll be interesting to have his take on real estate investing, also like how he got into crypto and like how, what it's been to him. He also has a lot of cool stuff about marketing, but we're really going to focus on real estate and crypto and his journey with that. So I'm really excited about that. I am really excited about today's call. Aaron Halderman, welcome, Aaron.
Hello, everyone.
I actually met Aaron on a Financial Friends cruise about, I don't know, man, I think it's been 7-8 years ago, Aaron. Yep. And we just got to talking and we had a lot of similarities between, what we liked and what we didn't like. And he even did a presentation on kind of self-help a little bit, and which is a lot of stuff that I'm interested in and trying to like focus on fixing me first before I fix the rest of the world. But Aaron used to own Noteworthy. Is it Noteworthy, right?
Yes.
And so he was in the note space and in real estate for a long time. So I'm kind of excited to have him on today for several different reasons. First of all, if anybody on this call does not have a self-directed IRA, you need to have one. Just don't go anywhere else. Don't think about it. Like, just don't consider it. Just make it happen. Everybody should have self-directed accounts of some kind. Aaron's going to probably do a super basic on what kind of accounts there are. We're not going to get deep into the woods. So hopefully we're not going to have a ton of IRA questions on here, but just trust me, if you're going to invest in anything outside of the stock market, which I hope everybody that's on this call has considered what most people would call, non-traditional investments like real estate, like notes, like gold and silver, like hedge funds, like crypto, for instance. You'd need to have a self-directed IRA. So I'm excited to have him on this and on today's call. And then also, like, their firm specializes. So Directed IRA is the company that him and Matt run and operate and own. And I'm excited to have him on. We're supposed to have Matt on, but their business is going crazy. They have a law firm as well, and they just shipped in a bunch of lawyers overnight, and they doing a bunch of training this morning. But Matt also wrote some books. And maybe you can get into some of the books that he wrote. And they also, I'm going to ask Aaron, they do have a couple events that they do every year as well that kind of revolve around crypto and self-directed IRAs. So I'm excited to have him on for that as well. I do want to remind everybody that this is something that I'm doing for free for everybody. So I don't mind doing the shameless plugs and the stuff that I'm offering. And this is really a free event. So if you haven't signed up for this free event, we do have the real estate and crypto free-for-all that we're going to do September 30th through October 2nd. It will be mostly real estate related. We do have a couple crypto presentations that are going to be added to that. And we had a great fun time last year, and we're going to have a great fun time. It'll be a similar makeup. We're going to kind of switch things up a little bit than from last year, but it's September 30th through October 2nd, and you can find more information about that at goodsuccess.com. And I'm sure Amelia, if Amelia you can put that in the chat, just a link directly to that. I do want to encourage everybody to invite their friends to this call, or anybody else that is going to, is interested in crypto. Just say, hey, my friend Tom Olson is out there, and he doesn't know it all. He's not trying to claim that he knows everything about crypto, but he's learning about it, and he's bringing on people every month, and he's just doing this free call. So if anybody else wants to learn about it, and if you can't make every call, that's fine. As long as you join the Facebook group, we do post these calls post-production, so next week by Friday-ish or so, this call will be in that Facebook group. So if you guys want to join that as well, or let your friends know about that, that'd be good. So like I said, I'm in a hotel. Everything has gone fine so far. But during the middle of this call, I might wig out. If that's the case, Aaron might just take the call, and Aaron knows how to do this. He's a really good guy and understands this technology probably much better than I do. But thank you guys for being on, and welcome, Aaron.
Well, thanks, Tom, and thanks for having me on. Good morning, everyone, on this wonderful Saturday morning. So I'm here in Scottsdale, Arizona, here at my corporate office. I can't do things like this on a weekend at home. I have 5 little children, so even with a separate office, that's a no-go zone for dad on the weekend. But I'm happy to be here. Let me fire up my screen. I'll share the screen real quick. And let's see. Here we go. All right. Is that good? You see, everyone see my screen?
Yep.
Okay, cool. So my name's Aaron Halderman, originally from Dallas, Texas. Went to school actually in Lubbock, Texas for a little while before transferring to Arizona State. And I've been in, Phoenix, split my time between here and San Diego for the past 20 years now. So I'm excited to be on here. I'm by no means a crypto expert. I don't want to pretend to be. I'm not a tax expert either. I have years of experience in real estate and notes and a ton with self-directed IRAs. About a year and a half ago, we were approached by a couple of very large exchanges at Directed IRA to offer some sort of, crypto in an IRA account. We didn't quite know what to do or how to do it. So there's just us and a couple other companies. And I will say this, I have all these slides that I already sent to Tom in a PDF file. So you'll have everything that I have. So you don't need to screenshot anything. You can have everything. I have a bunch of resources on the slides and everything that you can reference later. Some of the
want to mention that. Yeah, I'm sorry. I was going to mention that. I apologize. So I think Amelia or Aaron, I think Amelia has these. I sent these to Amelia. So I think you can put a link to that in the chat, Amelia. And then also, if you wanted to just put those slides maybe as a PDF in the Facebook group as well for anybody that wants a copy of these slides. Aaron has been gracious enough to let us have these. And I know a lot of people take notes while they're doing this, but it's really great to be able to just go back and reference the slides. So thank you, Aaron, for doing that.
Cool. Yeah. So to just a quick disclaimer, I'm not here to give investment advice. You should consult with an attorney, accountant, financial professional before doing any type of investment. So that's just, getting the legal stuff out of there. So this is interesting, right? So as this popped up on the 2020 form there, you can see the little arrows there. At any time during 2020, did you receive, sell, send, exchange, or otherwise acquire any financial interest in any virtual currency? Crypto, correct? Any type of digital asset. And so this is something to take note of. And so I put that out there because, if you're doing this personally, that's going to show up. And so, we kind of ventured on this track of figuring out, well, how can we do it in a retirement account? So we have some, tax exemptions. And so that's really what I'm going to get into the breadth of today. I'll give a little bit of an overview on self-directed IRAs. I got a ton of resources on the 2 different types of strategies that you can use with a retirement account and getting crypto exposure, and kind of some do's and don'ts, if you will, in the next step. So my goal for everyone here is that if you haven't already have a self-directed IRA account, need to get one. If you do have one, I'm going to share the few strategies of how you can get exposure into crypto with an IRA. And you should be able to walk away with doing one of those 2 items and rock and roll. So one of the platforms that we have is Directed IRA is a licensed trust company. So banks, credit unions, trust companies, certain IRS approved custodians as listed on the IRS's website, are qualified, licensed, audited, regulated, as financial institutions to service retirement accounts. So that's the qualification. When we were trying to find who to work with a hot wallet, and we were looking at what kind of security, what kind of licenses that they had in place. And so, we had several conversations. We landed on Gemini. Let's see, right at a year ago now is when we first started integrating to launch that product. And so you basically get a Gemini trading account with your own login to buy and sell 24/7, 365 days a year, but it's held, the asset is actually held with your retirement account. So we fund, a Gemini trading account with your actual retirement account at Directed IRA. And, they have about 60, I think 70 plus cryptos now. You can just go to gemini.com/prices. I will say this, it's a little kind of misleading. Like if you look at Coinbase, Kraken, Gemini, Voyager, you have to make sure that there's a difference between buy and store. Typically, if it's buy, that means you can trade. And if it's store, it's custody only, meaning you can't trade. You literally are just storing it. So you want to make sure that if you're interested in, trading on a regular basis, that it's actually buy the cryptos, because really those big three that I just listed, Gemini, Kraken, Coinbase, that are US based, they vary in what cryptos they have. But we all know at the end of the day, like a lot of the ones that Tom was just mentioning, BTC, ETH, Solana, those are some of the bigger ones out there. So I went over who I am a little bit. I'll just go into a little bit more detail so you understand my background from like a credibility standpoint. So back in 2019, I joined Directed IRA as the Chief Operating Officer. I still publish the Noteworthy newsletter. I do have partners in that, but I'm not full-time in that. I'm full-time as an executive officer at Directed IRA. We also produced the SDIRA Summit, which is all about self-directed IRAs. And then we launched the Crypto Tax Summit as well, which we go into tax strategies, both personally and with retirement accounts, get into staking, mining, yield farming, all that fun stuff, the different lend products that some of the exchanges and liquidity providers offer. And so those are pretty cool. I've been in the real estate note space for 15 plus years. That's where Tom and I met, being on the Financial Friends Network cruise. And, that's where you develop some really great relationships. And I've always considered myself, while I am, a bit of a extrovert, introvert combo, which would be more like an omnivert. I do enjoy speaking, giving people, education, things that I research and stuff. And so, I'm going to share like some of the stuff I've done in crypto, and then what we do as a company as a whole as well. And hopefully you can take some of those strategies away and implement them. So
it's interesting you brought that up. I always call myself an introverted extrovert. It's like, I'm an introvert until I know you. And then like, once I know you, you can't shut me up. So
there is I don't know I think I might have got that from Tony Robbins or something. I went to a Date with Destiny event he had, and he was talking about being an omnivert and stuff. And I'm the same way. I feed off of other people's energy, but I'd rather just kind of hang out with a friend or something. And that's it.
Got it. Yep.
So it's pretty fun. But this is, we are a licensed and regulated trust company. You can see our license number there. We have a little over, $1 billion in assets under custody, tens of thousands of clients. We've been around since 2018, so not super long, but we're one of the fastest growing trust companies in the space, if not the fastest. We can read all of our reviews and all that good stuff, and, we're audited. Okay, so let's get into it. So these are some of the account types that I want to hit on. We do offer these. Not every custodian IRA company offers them. They might offer like 4 or 5 of them, but we do, have the standard Roth traditional. We do have inherited accounts for both traditional and Roth. We have the SEP plans. We also offer solo K plans, covered L ESA, and health savings accounts. And then of course we have our crypto IRA product. The other thing that we do that is not really an account type, it's more of a product, is the checkbook IRA LLC. I know some custodians don't like that. They don't permit that. That's totally fine and up to them, but we do like it. Our law firm sets up those along with the solo K plans for small business owners. And so I'm going to go into why having a checkbook IRA LLC or solo K is beneficial for you doing crypto, because there's basically, you know, two types of accounts that you can get exposure into crypto that I'm going to hit on. One is our crypto IRA product that we have with Gemini. And there's a few other custodians that are like, they have FBO accounts with, you know, another exchange, but they're not really getting a trading account, or they're just getting exposure into like 3 or 4 cryptos. And so we're like, that's fine if you want to just like buy and hodl or hold. I should say hodl's a crypto term, that you don't plan on trading.
Your life.
What's that? Hold on for
dear life. If nobody knows what that means out there,
because you're in for an awesome ride. Like Bitcoin was up 45K in like 24 hours, and now it's back down to 39K like 24 hours later. And the same with ETH, kind of across the board. So these are all the different kinds of accounts that, and what I will say is you can have any one of those kind of accounts too with a crypto trading account at Gemini. So just because I have crypto IRA, you can literally have an HSA account that funds a Gemini trading account. And so that's cool, because you know, I get asked all the time, like, well, and Walter Wofford, good friend, you know, does this seminar out of Jackson called, you know, I think it's like small dollar, small balance IRAs, like, you know, what to do, how you can JV and, you know, do different strategies for these accounts. They're really less than like 50K, let's call it, or even less than like 20K. Like, what the heck do you invest in as a self-directed investor besides like options or, you know, joint venturing? What we stumbled upon, there you go, small dollar. What we stumbled upon was, this is great for crypto, because you could do a couple $1,000s. I will say it's, you know, can be super volatile. But you know, we have a lot of these small dollar accounts, and that's kind of what we saw being beneficial for crypto.
Yeah, I think the other thing, Aaron, is like a lot of times, you know, you have money left over that's just kind of sitting there, and you're like, what do I do with this extra $5,000 or whatever?
Yes.
I did this bigger deal, and you know, it needed 50 grand, but I had 55 grand in this IRA. Or I mean, and I have so many accounts, and I have, you know, inherited accounts, and I've got SEP accounts and traditional accounts and Roth accounts and ESA accounts. And it's kind of like, at some point you need a different place to be able to park things. And I am very interested. It is interesting, and I didn't even know this until me and you got on the call before we got started. But your company that's right there has a law firm, and I'm assuming that the law firm there is what they use to help set up these checkbook LLCs.
Yes. Yep.
So it's kind of unique to be able to offer that. I've never heard that before, that another custodian. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there are people out there that
I think and they're not attorneys, but like Broad Financials out there as one of them. Like, listen, I believe,
I'm saying an IRA custodian. I'm saying I've never heard an IRA custodian that says, hey, we can help you actually make this happen. We don't just recommend or tell you can do it, but we can actually help you. And I thought that was very interesting.
Yeah, there's not a few. There's only a couple out there. Most of them don't like it, that strategy, and actually don't allow it. So, which is some people want to trust only, and then some people, you know, you can do either. I think the biggest thing with a checkbook LLC, and this is just my opinion here, folks, I'm not an attorney, but I have read from a lot of stuff that Jeff Watson's putting out, and even John Heyer, like, you can do all these things. The biggest thing is just to have it arm's length even still, and not letting yourself have unfettered access, which seems to be the biggest issue right now. And I know you guys are really, you know, big in proponents and having the checkbook LLC, and you can set it up different ways, but like having that third person that's going to actually be the person that writes the checks and signs the checks and that kind of stuff is what I would just recommend to everybody. Yeah. So there's been some recent like case law out there there was a precious metals case, and then somebody put out a totally bogus video saying checkbook IRA LLCs were going to be illegal. That hasn't happened. We don't anticipate that happening. We're totally fine, even if you want to be the manager still of that, rather than even a third party. Like, that's the law firm's legal opinion. So like, that's kind of our stance on it. And we literally do hundreds of these every month. So we're in fact, we've ramped up and are not slowing down. So, it's still a great strategy. We're big proponents of it. It's not illegal. I will say this, and I'm jumping ahead a little bit, but there, so I have a nano ledger, which you can store the private keys. Okay. So for your crypto. Now I'm holding it. Literally, it's like this one's in my office, this one particular. So is that like the precious metals case that just came out where I'm holding my coins? We haven't, we're of the stance that that's not the case. So if you want to hold on to your private keys, you don't need to put them in a bank vault. You don't need to send it to your custodian. Like you can literally, keep your ledger, your private keys with you using a checkbook IRA LLC or a solo K if you're going to get some crypto exposure. So we're totally good with that. So let me go back here just a little bit. Okay, so I'll get into a little bit more details on how that flows and how you got to set those accounts up, because it is a little tricky and it is time consuming. I will say this: if you're like hot to trot and pretty anxious to get into the market, that's partly why we did the crypto IRA account with getting a Gemini trading account, because you can get that done in about a week and a half. If you're going to use a checkbook IRA LLC or a solo K, that's going to take you a month plus, easy, if not like even 2 to 4 months. The reason why is because you're at the mercy of that exchange approving your institutional account, and they're not super anxious to do that. So we've had, people wait months before like Coinbase has approved them, Kraken 4 to 6 weeks. And so, I have both kinds of accounts. I have a crypto IRA with Gemini that's a Roth. I just have a crypto Roth account and a Gemini trading account. And then I have the checkbook IRA LLC that I do more creative things with, like, staking, mining, et cetera, because, moving off exchange into more DeFi and some of these altcoins, you can do that with the checkbook IRA LLC. Most people don't know this, but it also, like, you have to purchase crypto. So you have to go through a sort of an exchange to get, a stable coin or buy Ethereum before you can take it off exchange and go do some of these DeFi strategies. So you still need to get an institutional account so you can go get the primarily Ethereum to then take off and do some of these altcoins. So let me just touch on funding because this is important. Let me touch on how you get money into these IRA accounts. It's basically 4 options. I have 3 up there. The one that's missing is making a contribution. The reason I don't have that up there is because you're limited in the contribution amounts, but it's still perfect for the crypto scenario because you can still get 6,000 to 7,000 plus with a traditional or Roth, HSA, a little over $7,000 for the family, but your SEP and your solo K, you can get much more. But you can do a rollover. So if you have an old employer plan that you're no longer working there, you can get some money over there. If you have a brokerage account that is an IRA, let's say at TD Ameritrade, and you have a Roth IRA or traditional IRA over there, that would just be called a trustee to trustee transfer. Or if you wanted to do what's called a 60-day rollover, rather than having like TD Ameritrade transfer funds to us, you can have them distribute funds to you, and you have 60 days to then get those into another qualified retirement account. You can do that once every 12 months. So those are the ways to fund the account. I will say this, that direct rollover with an old employer plan, if you're doing that option, you're at the mercy of contacting that administrator, filling out their rollover paperwork, and they want to mail a check to the custodian or to you. And it's just a pain in the butt. It's just the way it is, though. It's super old school. There's no control over that. And they usually take 2 to 4 weeks to process, send the check, and get that over. And so that's how it works. But I love, Tom, your strategy. And when you're talking about, like, you have no idea how much money just sits in accounts in cash or in fiat in a retirement account because they did a real estate deal for a couple $100,000 and they got like 15, 20K or 5K sitting there, and like, what the heck do I do with it? What other deal? And I hate that it's there. but you don't want to go through the hassle of like transferring it to a brokerage account and, you know, placing trades there, or maybe your custodian allows you to do some public trades, which we do. We do that as well. We can place those, but so here's some things just to go back, like what can't an IRA invest into, just at a high level, pretty much just not S Corp stock, collectibles, life insurance. Not quite sure where NFTs fall into that. I'm not really going to get into that or address that, but we do have people that I know of that use a checkbook IRA LLC or a solo K that are holding NFTs in their retirement account. There isn't like a ruling yet or anything. Is that going to be considered a collectible? It certainly has the definition of that in the crypto space. So I don't know. Just I'd say do your own due diligence and, you know, be prepared that, you know, for any potential consequences, you know, expect the worst and hope for the best is what I would say on something like that. So I just don't know. There are some disqualified persons rules, like, you know, basically just don't be doing business, you know, with your spouse. I have a cool little diagram that you can go back and reference. You know, everybody in red means no go. Everybody in green is good to go. So, you know, basically, you know, parents, children, grandchildren, you know, son or daughter-in-law, spouse, but, you know, siblings count, uncles, aunts, cousins, in-laws, that's all good. So good to do that.
Aaron, there is a good question here. You've talked about the LLCs and the checkbook LLCs. I'm assuming you guys also work with trust accounts as well.
Yeah, so that's really for when I hear that, that's for like a
personal
solo
property
K.
trust.
Like a solo K has a trust checking account. So
Yeah, but you can even have an IRA that's the beneficiary of like a personal property trust, but that's how we do a lot of real estate transactions.
yeah, so so we don't set up the business checking account, just to be perfectly clear. You know, there's a few banks that we like, Titan Bank, Solera Bank. There's a few that understand IRAs. All we do is fund that LLC checking account with your retirement account. So you send us a request, you know, because the IRA is the member of that LLC or trust checking account, and you're going to fund the checking account with your IRA.
Right. I guess what I'm saying is in self-directed IRA world, if you want to fund a deal of any kind outside of the custodian actually funding it, you have two options. Number one, the IRA custodian sends money to some kind of LLC that is, you know, connected or whatever you want to call it, member of or whatever of that LLC, or there's a trust in which that like a personal property trust, for instance, is what most people use, that the custodian will, you know, send money to that personal property trust. And then the trust is kind of run very similar to what you're saying a checkbook LLC would be run. It's just not an actual LLC. It's not an LLC. Some people really, I'll tell you, Quest really prefers trusts over LLCs, but then there's other custodians like yourself that probably prefer the LLC. It's funny, if you talk to two different attorneys that know the subject, you know, one is going to fight for trusts and one's going to fight for LLCs. Like, I'm not here to tell you which one's better or which one's worse. I'm just saying, like, you know, you do what's comfortable for you.
Yeah. So
I guess the question in the chat box, though, is I'm assuming you also do work with those trust checking accounts, just like you would. Not that you set them up for people.
Correct.
But
We do not.
Right. But that you would send money to those accounts, just like you would send money to if it was, you know, requested from the account holder.
So the only issue with that is you're not going to get approved. Just staying on topic of crypto, since this is, you know, a crypto topic, you're not going to be able to get approved with an exchange with that type of strategy. Because it's not an institutional or business account. They won't accept that. You'll have to have like a true checkbook IRA LLC or a solo 401k.
But you will have a trust checking account. So the trust can then go out and get a checking account that's owned by the trust.
Yeah, but you're not going to be able to go and get that. You're still going to need an LLC. or a solo K with the for an exchange. To get an approved with an institutional account with a crypto exchange, that
Interesting.
trust checking account won't work.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, that won't go because it's not an actual institution or business.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not familiar enough to know. This was just a question in the chat, so
Yeah.
I can't give.
Hopefully that makes sense to everyone, and I'll kind of address that. And I have some links in there that you can go and see. Okay, so we already hit on that. If you want to know Gemini Security, it's on their website, but you can just go to gemini.com/security. They are a licensed trust company as well. They also have a bit license. You know, them, Coinbase, Kraken, again, really the big three. I will say this too, when doing the checkbook IRA LLC or solo K, we've had some people try and do exchanges, other exchanges that are not US based. They're not going to, the banks are not going to wire funds to an international account. They're going to want that exchange to be domestic, with either their headquarters here or a bank account that's based here. So we have people are like, hey, I want to do like Gate.io or Binance or Bullish, and I got approved. And they're like, cool. The banks won't, the domestic bank is not going to send funds out for that exchange that's international. Don't ask me why. I don't, that's just where they're at. They don't want to do it. So I've had a bunch of pushback from clients, and they always come back or like, I'm so upset, like Titan Bank won't send funds to Singapore. And I'm like, I'm sorry, like they won't. So
Right.
just a heads up if you're trying to do that. That's kind of why, yeah. So there, Joy, thanks. Trust is not seen as an accepted entity by a trade. Exactly. So that'd be a good one sentence to use. It is not seen as an accepted entity. Okay, so let me just take it back. Go ahead, Tom.
I did want to hit Paul's question real quick. So he said, what's involved in transferring funds from one self-directed IRA to another? Paul, I'm not sure if you could put on your mic to clarify that question. Are you talking about like from one custodian to the other custodian?
That's how I'm interpreting it.
Yeah, that's how I'm assuming that is. So
yeah, that's what I meant, custodian.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's just a trustee to trustee transfer. Paul, is all that is. So it's just a transfer form. And you can either transfer cash or assets in kind. A lot of people, they like Tom has multiple accounts at multiple custodians. We have that as well. Like I have one client that, has an account at Equity, and they have, 3 accounts with us, and they kept that account at Equity because it's a large account that's invested in a private fund, and they just didn't want to re-register it and kind of go through that. That's totally fine. Like it's just personal preference. Or if you're wanting to do our crypto IRA product and you have another account that you're happy with and like that, you can do that as well. So I will say this on our crypto IRA product, we don't mix and mingle other assets. So if you're doing a crypto IRA, let's say it's a crypto Roth IRA, the asset holding asset is a Gemini trading account. And that's what you're going to do. So you're not going to also do real estate in that crypto Roth or do lending. You would need to have a separate Roth IRA with us or another custodian to do those real estate or lending deals or private company deals. We did that primarily for security reasons, and we also don't allow you to move off exchange. We did that for our own security protocol measures. Crypto, people are always trying to breach or hack institutions. And so we take our security, we have different protocols that I'm not going to discuss. We don't even disclose it to our clients because we don't want it public and other people knowing like the certain measures we do internally and some of the stuff we do along with Gemini. It's no secret. You can, Google and see what's out there and what breaches have happened and, who pointing fingers at each other and stuff. But, we don't allow you to have API access. We don't allow you to move off exchange. We won't even allow you to transfer crypto in kind. You would need to go, sell the crypto, go to fiat, transfer back to your IRA for us to then send money out. We will accept crypto in kind from another custodian that's custodying your crypto. not personally. You can't make contributions in crypto. That's an IRS guideline, and you can't bring crypto that's not in a qualified retirement account in as well. We also won't send crypto out to a checkbook IRA LLC or a solo K. We won't do that either. And we also won't accept that in kind from your own checkbook IRA LLC or solo K. Even though it was crypto based, we just made a decision as a business, so we won't accept that because we can't really track the wallet and what that's coming from. It could have been personal crypto for all we know. Even if you have documentation or screenshots, we just won't do it. But we would accept, coming from like Bitcoin IRA or I Trust Capital, or there's a couple others. There's a few other custodians that really specialize in crypto, and they're totally not a licensed trust company. And I don't want to, talk negative on any of that stuff, because we have some working relationships with them where they can't service certain states, whereas we can. And so they'll onboard some of their clients and transfer, accounts over to us. But they just have a different business model. Well, crypto is just kind of a small piece of what we do. We're focused primarily on real estate, private companies, precious metals, lending, stuff like that. So
I'm going to let Aaron get back to his presentation because he's got a lot to go still. But we do have some questions that I will make sure that we get to in the end from
Okay.
Kevin and Grant. But yeah, I just want you to have time to continue on your.
Cool.
what you got
Yeah.
prepared.
We'll go like 2 hours, which I can go that long. So let me just take you back to 2017 as just kind of a case study. Ethereum was at $300 at that point. You can see there was 16 ETH purchased out of one of our accounts, ended up selling, bought more ETH. I just don't have screenshots of all of it that were saved, but these are personal funds. Comerica Bank, this is just a personal account. Ended up purchasing more ETH, sold all 58 ETH. So went from, 300, 374. And this was a year later. Well, not even a year later, because it started crashing, right? So you see at the bottom left there, November 2017, then sold March of 18, and just started plummeting shortly after that. So, $70 difference, but here's what it would have done if I just had held that account like in a retirement account. I would have only spent, a few $1,000s, and I just could have kept it. But, 58 ETH as of today, right? ETH is at 2,600. So that's 150,000, instead only made 20 grand, so there's some power in holding the cryptos too. There's a strategy of that. And there's also a strategy of trading or mining or staking for higher yield, which are all cool strategies, totally love. And I do a little bit of everything myself, both personally and in retirement accounts. And I love what you're doing, Tom, helping educate people on what to do, because it can be a steep learning curve for some, or for all of us. And there's just a lot out there. Like, I'm literally only a couple years myself into doing this, and I kind of just do it by trial and error. Like, oh, this seems good. Like my crypto Roth account, I just make new contributions, and I just buy kind of the big five of crypto. As far as market cap, you can just go to CoinDesk or any and look at the market cap for each. And I have some DeFi stuff, and I just hold it. I don't even trade it. I'm like, I don't care. I'm just going to hold it. It's going to be volatile, but I'm projecting in like 5 years, it'll be worth a good bundle, and it'll be good for like my kids' college or, whatever, for my future retirement, for me and my wife.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, Aaron, because when me and you talked, I kind of left our conversation with, if I'm going to do this, that's the best strategy that I would do personally. If I really believe Bitcoin's going to be 100,000, for instance, I mean, that number just keeps getting thrown out there. I mean, you're hearing 6,000, you're hearing 10,000 for ETH. You're like, so if you really believe that, or if you're just the type of person that says, I want to hold this currency because I think it's the future or whatever, like, I'm not saying that's the case either, but I'm just saying, if you believe that, I think this is a very good place to be able to think about, considering putting money in your self-directed accounts.
Yeah, I will say, there's not a bunch of options right now. There will be more options, and trade fees will will go down, kind of a race to the bottom, similar to, with public equities, securities. But if you're like wanting to trade frequently, stake, mine, yield, you should do like your own institutional account. You have to. Your a custodian's not going to have oversight on strategies like that because, like us, we, for one, security, and two, we don't know what the heck you're doing, and we would have to be tracking it all. So it's just going to stay on exchange, with our wallet that we have, with Gemini. So it stays there in that scenario. But if you want to move off exchange, do your own thing, go into more DeFi, do some, speculative coins that haven't hit yet, where you're paying huge gas fees that you think it's going to pop, then you have to set up your own institutional business account. So this is really the structure. So what you have is an existing IRA or 401k that's going to fund that self-directed IRA. It all starts like you have to have a self-directed IRA. If you don't have one, you need to go ahead and get one set up so you're at least can like start the game and get in it. Then that IRA is going to be the member of the LLC. So that IRA, as you can see here, is going to invest into that LLC. And so it's going to be a member of the LLC. You'll establish a business checking account in the name of the LLC. And that name of the LLC is what you're going to use to sign up as an entity with a business or institutional account. It just depends on the exchange. Some call it a business account, some call it an institutional account. And that's what you're going to, sign up for on exchange. To then that LLC is going to have its own wallet. Okay. We do it at our law firm, KKOS Lawyers. You don't have to go through us. We don't care. Like, it's totally fine. We just want the self-directed IRA account. If you want us to help establish the checkbook LLC, we will, just because we do it, but we don't need that business. We're plenty busy. So if you have a cheaper option or something else, totally go for it. I will say this, it can't be an existing LLC. Okay. And it can't be one that you start yourself. You have to either go through a doc prep company that has this the operating agreement language that allows an IRA to be a member, or you go through a law firm. And so you're still going to pay anywhere from, several $100s, so we're kind of right in the middle. We're a few hundred than the more than the cheapest option out there, but we're less than the more expensive option. So we fill in the sweet spot. So it's $800 plus the state filing fee. And then, the IRA has funds. We then send that for a one-time fee of $50 to your LLC bank account, and you're off to the races to create your own institutional account.
Hey, Aaron?
Yes. Yep.
So this is Brian Burnett. Quick question.
Hey,
So
yep.
I'm with you. I've got several IRAs and a solo 401k. So if I had an inherited Roth coming to me, I could designate that just for crypto. I could set. So can I actually go and set the LLC up? Can I do this paperwork myself if I know how to do it?
Well,
so mine are with Quest.
Yep.
So do I have to have my trustee or someone else do the LLC work, or can I do that?
Yeah. So typically, we wouldn't recommend you doing it yourself. You would have to know what needs to be in the LLC operating agreement for it to be an approved entity for a self-directed IRA or that inherited Roth to be a member. So with that inherited Roth, Brian, you have two options. You can do an inherited crypto Roth with us, but that would be a Gemini trading account. And you don't have to do any of that. You would just move some of the funds wherever they're at currently, the custodian. You can still keep that account over there. We don't care. And you can move a portion of those funds over to us and have a Gemini trading account that's the inherited Roth is the beneficiary of. And that,
But just to clarify, I think we did get off on the LLCs. You don't have to have an LLC in order to invest in crypto with directed IRA. Normally you do. I don't know of any other self-directed company that will allow you to go straight into something. And it's only because directed IRA has this relationship with Gemini.
Yeah, there's a few other platforms out there, like I was talking about earlier. They're just not licensed trust companies. So I don't know, like that's totally up to you, but they're really like, they offer a crypto IRA, and they're really a fintech company, a software company, versus like experts in retirement accounts. That's our area of expertise. And so that's why we selected them and chose to go that route.
Well, you can choose to have an LLC, and at the LLC, you can trade, you can
Yeah.
buy and, sell a lot. If you buy and sell a lot in the IRA, it's going to be, that's probably not the best place, if you ask me, Brian, to be buying and selling all the time.
Yeah.
Say
Without
it
the
again,
LLC.
Tom.
If it was me, if you wanted to trade, then you for sure want the LLC. But if you're just going to invest and like just
Hold it.
let it sit, like, Aaron's doing, then I would
Right.
just say, just go right with the IRA and just let the IRA be its own crypto account.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Because so there, it's a 1 point trade fee for every time you buy, sell that we assess. So if you're doing a lot of that, those fees add up. So that's why people do this IRA LLC structure or
Okay.
solo K structure.
Right.
So they have, lower trade fees. I will say this though, you're still going to pay anywhere from like 25 to 50 bips though, which is a quarter or half of a point for every
Okay.
trade. It's not going to be 0 or 10 cents because you just won't have the volume, so we have huge volume. So that's why we have, lower fees for us. There are, but we still do have the recurring revenue fee. Like I said earlier, there's going to be a race to the bottom, and we're actually going to even lower our trade fees. Hint, hint, wink, wink, like here, like really soon. We're just got to redo some.
I do have a clarification. So I can use existing small dollar or existing IRA or solo 401k funds, but I'd have to move them to this directed IRA account with you guys.
That is correct. Yeah, because your current custodian doesn't have a relationship.
I got it. I just wanted to make sure that I understood that point.
Absolutely.
So that's okay. Thank you.
Yep, you're welcome. So that's how the IRA LLC structure works. Similar deal for the solo 401k, right? A little bit longer process to set up and adopt a plan, and you can have, different checking accounts, you and a spouse, as you can see here. But let me go to this option. So you have that solo 401k, you can get, an LLC with checkbook control even for your solo K plan, or you can use it in the name of the solo K, checking account, but you're going to use the entity name. Like, don't be putting like, oh, I got a solo 401k with the exchange, and given an explanation. You just want to put that you have an entity, and you're going to give them the entity docs. Okay. So does that make sense? I hope everybody's tracking with me on there, because these exchanges, similar to like, like going to Chase Bank, for instance. You go to JP Morgan Chase and you're like, I'd like to set up my IRA LLC checking account. They're like, what? Like, what are you trying to do? We don't do that. So like similar here with the exchanges, you can't tell them like, I'm using my checkbook IRA LLC structure. Like, you're just using the business or entity name. I'm just sharing this with you. Some of you may be like, well, duh. But I'm telling you, it's happened. Like we've done like thousands of these accounts over the past year. And it's like, oh my gosh, people, like, you can't do that because they don't know. So you're just like going to use the name of the LLC or the business name for that. And you get a wallet in exchange. Okay, so let me dive into some ways that you can go set up your own institutional or business account with and do the IRA LLC or solo K. You can go to these links later. That's why I wanted to have the PDF. I will say this: do not start the application until everything's set up and you have money in that account ready to go. The reason I said that, I got like 6 asterisks here at the bottom. You have to have all documents ready. You're not going to want to start and stop and come back later. I can't tell you how many times people mess it up because they're like super anxious, and I get you. I'm anxious for you, but it just messes it up. It's like these exchanges, you got to do it all right then and there. If you're like, oh, I didn't have this document, or I can't find my driver's license or whatever, like, you're toast. I don't know why. I don't know if it's a security thing, but it's totally wonky. It just messes up the process. So when you're finally ready to like start it, you have to have all docs ready. And again, this is just for the IRA LLC or solo K. Coinbase goes through the step-by-step instructions. I pulled it from their help desk. The same with BlockFi, and then Kraken. They're a little bit different. Although I've had a lot of people have some good success with getting accounts at Kraken really quick. The reason I don't have some others like Voyager or Bittrex and stuff is like they're a little bit more cumbersome. It's really not in their wheelhouse to do these institutional accounts for these smaller individuals. They're looking at an institution like us. They're like, well, what are you bringing over? Like $100,000. Like what? Like literally we've had people stall out accounts because they're like, you're not an institution. That's why I'm saying some look at an institution, some say it business. These three, we've had thousands over the past few years now that have accounts with their IRA LLC or solo K and don't have millions of dollars in them. But some of the other exchanges, they're like, they'll just never approve your application because they're like, you're not an institution. So I'm just giving you a heads up based on experience, kind of what we're seeing out there. These we've had good success with. And so I've literally outlined the steps and resources where you can go get those. And again, you're going to go there and you're really going to purchase, ETH. So you can go transfer off exchange or, into cold storage with, holding your private keys. That's totally cool. So
are you saying to create the business? So what do you do before this? I'm assuming you have to have the money in the IRA, you have to have the checkbook LLC created, and then you go and do this.
Correct. Yeah. So, yep, you need to have everything set up from self-directed IRA to the LLC bank account or the solo K entity funding the solo K. You need to have everything ready as if you could write a check today. Because what they're going to do, so you may say, well, Aaron, I'm just like going to do it. And like, I don't have the bank account and I'm going to fund it. They verify everything like kind of step by step by step. They use a platform, most of them called Plaid. And Plaid actually, you're giving them access to your bank account. And if you're like in the process of doing it and it hasn't been funded, they're like, well, this institution has no funds. So you'll just stall out. So I'm giving you like best practices. Like you want to get this going, like have it all done, have the money in the bank account. And you may be like, well, I'm like liquidate or I'm selling a property and the funds are going to go back and I'm like, no, if you're wanting to do this, the funds got to be in there. Just trust me. If you want like to get it done and have a good result, every day having conversations with people that stall out on stuff. And so I got like a 2-page list of troubleshooting tips. And the same thing, because here's the other thing. They're going to do the KYC, like know your customer validation with your IDs and stuff personally. So don't freak out. They're going to verify you too, along with your business. It's all required. So you'll be like, well, I don't want to do that. Well, then you're not doing crypto, but the exchange. Same thing with our Gemini trading account. You're going to have to do KYC with Gemini. So, and if you're doing Coverdell accounts, okay, you're going to do the KYC with your information, not your child's, not that minor. We have people that put the minor's info in there and Gemini kicks it back and it causes all sorts of issues. So got a lot of grandparents, like my grandparents, have set up accounts and help fund accounts. And like, you can totally do that, but the parent is still going to be, whoever the guardian is going to do the KYC onboarding. All right. Cold storage wallet. Okay. I'm just giving you a few resources here. Ledger, a Trezor, Arculus is a newer one too. I have all three. Your LLC or your solo K should be buying those, right? If you bought it personally or whatever, like, okay, but really it's like the same thing. If you're going to go out and do mining, that entity needs to purchase the mining equipment, not you personally, and then gifting it over to your LLC. It's like, you got to have all the documentation for it. Like it's a business. you treat it like a business, and therefore that's another reason why I'm saying you got to have everything ready to go with all these documents and the account ready and it funded so you can go buy some of these resources, go buy the equipment. There's a cool, I'm not going to go into this. I'm just giving you an article that Matt Sorensen, who's a tax attorney, wrote on crypto mining in your IRA, and it, looking at UBIT tax. So I'll let you go read that. It's about a 15-minute read, and where that's at. There is a resource. I'm just going to pull it up right now. Tom, you're talking. So I had a call with the COO of this company a few months back, Compass Mining. So you can actually purchase hardware now from them. And so it's pretty cool, just compassmining.io. And they also list their facilities on where you can host too. And there's quite a few in Canada and in the US. So anyways, there you go. They're all approved to farm out, but wanted to share that with you as well. Okay, let me go back to my screen. Cool. Okay, so some crypto tax basics. Matt wrote another good article about buying and selling Bitcoin and other crypto on Entrepreneur, where he's a VIP contributor. So he talks about, crypto is considered property, short-term, long-term capital gains rules do apply. And, going back to this crypto mining where it's considered ordinary, income can be taxed higher, based on where you fall in. So I have a few examples, of just the power of doing it in a retirement account. Let's say you bought $20,000 worth of Bitcoin, which is BTC, and sold it 6 months later at 30K. So you have a 10K gain. So you'd have 3,500 in tax. So you're only keeping 6,500. I made some assumptions, right? A 30% Fed and 5% state tax rate. I know some of you have higher state tax rates as well as I do in Arizona. But if you did it,
are lower.
Well, yeah, that's true.
Some
of you have zero. God bless Texas and Florida. So, if you did it in a traditional IRA, you would have that's still that 10K gain, no tax now. You keep that 10K and can reinvest it and grow it. But of course, it's taxed when you pull out at retirement. Whereas with the Roth, there's no tax ever, which is awesome. So the majority of accounts that we get are crypto Roth accounts. The people do. It's like, more than half do that. Now, a lot of times people do this though, Tom, they'll do a Roth conversion. Well, they'll just convert some traditional dollars, get hit on the tax now. And they're like, I'm going to do a crypto Roth IRA, and I'm just going to like buy and hold and just let it ride. That's, again, there's so many cool strategies that you can do and get creative with, so a personal example, bought 10K of Bitcoin in 2017, sold for 470,000 in 2021, you'd have a gain of 460,000. Okay. If you did it with, personally, 5% state, long-term capital gain at 20%, you'd pay 115 in tax and you keep 345. This is an awesome article in Cryptopedia. For those of you that don't know about this resource, it's powered by Gemini's exchange, but it's open for experts in crypto. And there's a great article on buying crypto with an IRA that goes into some more case studies and examples. So here's what you'd do with the Roth. You'd keep it all, right? Rather than the IRS keeping 115 and you keeping only 345. So that's all I'm just gonna leave that there. That's it. I'm just going to hit this at a very high level because there's a 20-minute video that goes over this and how you can crypto mine in a Roth. Okay. I have the YouTube link there. Our CFO at Directed IRA and partner in the law firm at KKOS, Mark Kohler, goes over this strategy, how you can crypto mine using your Roth. Okay. So there's a couple different entities you got to set up, a couple different wallets that you're going to have. It's like a more sophisticated structure and strategy. I'm sure a lot of you will jump off this and go immediately into that 20-minute YouTube video, but be prepared for your mind to be rocked because it's pretty awesome. Like, I don't know anybody else that are that's even teaching stuff like this. Exactly how to do it. Like, here's how this diagram is how you do it. not like conceptually like, oh, this is nice, or I'm doing like, he even shows you in the video how what he's done and the rigs that he has. He goes to his mining facility that he has there in Idaho. So it's pretty cool. There's a few other options that you can do. There's a couple Bitcoin trusts and ETFs out there that are privately held, where you can use a self-directed IRA. We'll place the trade for you and hold that. So Grayscale Bitcoin Trust is another. Ospreys is one. They trade on the OTC, over the counter. They're not on NASDAQ or the New York Stock Exchange. And not every broker allows it, but you can have a self-directed IRA account with us, and we'll place that trade. If you just want to go into a fund that primarily is trading Bitcoin and primarily Bitcoin, there's a few out there that have Bitcoin and Ethereum, but it's primarily BTC. Same with like if you wanted to invest in a private company like NYDIG, so you can NYDIG.com. They run a BTC fund. Securitized Capital runs a fund as well. I'm going to get into some real estate tokenization too, on some further subject matter as an expert. We got into this a year ago, went to a blockchain real estate event, and how more people are going to be tokenizing real estate. I've seen a few other people like publish some stuff or kind of talk about it. I don't know their level of expertise and on the subject matter, but we have it dialed in. We've spoken at the events and have processed these transactions and really feel it's the future for people like tokenizing their real estate funds and note funds. So I'm just at a high level, it's coming. You can research. We'll publish some articles, and we'll do a webinar for about an hour, hour and a half that'll go over that as well. So for those of you that have funds that want to tokenize it, I will share this. Just look up Aspen Funds. Like Aspen, Colorado. Gentleman there, an individual bought the St. Regis in Aspen, tokenized a portion of it to get some liquidity. It's called Aspen Coin, and you can go in and look at what he did. He raised 19 million, in Aspen Coin, and it's pretty cool what they did. It's all on all on Ethereum's blockchain. When should you get started? Now, if you already have a self-directed IRA, cool. If you and you want to not do a Gemini trading account with us and do the checkbook IRA LLC or solo K, awesome. I've given you the strategy on how to do it. If you want to do a Gemini trading account with us, awesome. We'd love to have you. You can move some, funds over from another IRA account, another custodian. We'd be happy to do that. When you just go to directedira.com, you'll see all the crypto accounts we list. Web-based, it's on the right-hand side. You can see here all the crypto account applications. We have them all. You can even have your own solo K crypto account without having, again, like what Tom said, you don't have to have a checkbook IRA LLC, and go get it your own, get approved your own institutional account. Same with the solo K. If you just want to move it to us and, get exposure in crypto with the Gemini trading account, we'd love to have you. Here's our fee schedule. It's super easy. We charge $295 a year, whether you have $100,000 or $100 million, it doesn't matter to us. We don't charge based on the number of assets you have or based on the money you have in there. Gemini's trade fee is actually lower than that. It's about 10 bips, 10 to 15 bips because of our trade volume. We have it there because it's in all of our paperwork, but I'm just letting you know. So you're going to pay about 1.15% every time you trade. We're going to be reducing that significantly. I'm not going to say what it is right now, but we'll be releasing that here in about 30 days or so. As far as like it'll be like an all-inclusive trade fee. So it'll be nice. It'll be really good. We do have a few competitors that have, again, that are just a crypto IRA product, that are not trust companies. They're all kind of charging 1 to 2 points. They don't disclose though the gas fees on there, which is, what enables them to provide liquidity out there and actually execute on the trades. And so while they may say it's, hey, 1%, it's usually more than that. Just as a heads up, and it's kind of rubs some people the wrong way, and they end up moving to an account with us because they're like, oh, they totally didn't tell us, and I got charged this, and I was unaware of that. And so like, we're totally open and transparent of what it is. We charge 1%, whether you buy, sell, and Gemini charges, 10 to 15 bips. And that's where we're at. I got my email there. If you want to hit me up, you want a discount for just for tracking purposes, you can put Aaron Webinar 100, and it'll just take $100 off your first year account fee. So from $295 to $195, which is the best we do. Like, we really don't run promos because we're already super low. So we're, and I will say this about the company: we're gonna pick up the phone. We are growing rapidly, but you're gonna get somebody on the phone. We're not finteched out where you got to do a support ticket or wait on hold for half an hour. You may wait on hold sometimes for like 10, 15 minutes, maybe, but generally not. We're in the office 8 to 5, Monday through Friday, just like, banks are open, closed on the weekends. It's super easy. And if you want to talk to somebody about more details of some of the products and services we have, you can book a free appointment at directedira.com/appointment. We have about a dozen self-directed IRA experts, on that page that you can book a time that's convenient for you. So again, that promo code is Aaron Webinar 100, and you'll just put that in the promo code when you're filling out your account application. It's on section 1. It asks you, do you have a promo code? You'll just put Aaron Webinar 100, and I'll know this came from this group because I don't have this promo code elsewhere. So anyways, that is the best deal that we have that I wanted to extend to everyone, Tom,
Awesome.
for the
Thank you
group.
that.
We typically have like $50 promo codes, but this is our best one that we have. Okay, you want me to do some questions and clarify?
Yeah, we have 2 questions that were already in there I did want to get to. So the first one was, Aaron, can you buy crypto in a solo 401k traditional, and then when the coin drops in value, do a Roth conversion so you can get lower fair market value at the conversion?
Yeah. So, the tricky part about all that stuff is, yeah, you'd need to go back to fiat, right? So you can do that strategy. So they're saying you'd, buy it, sell it, I get it. Like, you could do that. Yeah, that's fine.
Are you understanding the question? Because I don't think you would want you couldn't go back to fiat, because if that's the case, you wouldn't get the lower fair market value. You'd basically, you know what I'm saying? Like, so if, I guess what he's saying is, can you buy it in a solo 401k, and then when it drops, then you do the Roth while it's still in its currency? Does that make sense?
Yeah, you can't do that in crypto, not crypto in kind.
So this happens in real estate. You can do this in real estate. If a house goes down in value, nobody really knows. So you can transfer a house. So I guess the answer to that, Kevin, I believe is no. Then I didn't know the answer, but
yeah, it's no. But like, we don't. I mean, we haven't done it. We haven't seen it. For any time, like, think about how you do the Roth conversion, right? The paperwork itself. There's no items in there that saying it's crypto. Like, it's all in fiat, right? That's because even though that it's an asset, it has to, we don't have any guidance or ability to really do that other than with, like real estate notes, a business, private company you invested in, but not necessarily in crypto.
But I guess, okay, so I guess the real question is, can you convert crypto from traditional to Roth without selling in the middle of that transaction?
I don't know. We haven't done it.
Okay.
I don't think so.
And then Grant says, when you establish a crypto IRA and transfer funds to Gemini to purchase crypto, can you then store your crypto on your wallet, and must it stay on the exchange? or must it stay on the exchange?
It has to stay on exchange. We do that for security purposes. So it's a an institutional wallet that we have. That's a hot wallet with Gemini that's designated us. So it does stay on exchange. You have the option of moving it to cold storage with Gemini, which they say most exchanges, they're like, well, 98% is like in cold storage. They all kind of put that on their exchange. But if you want to ensure that it moves into cold storage, we have in fact, I think I'm working on the form right now. Yeah, to and from Gemini, where you can move it into cold storage with Gemini. And you'd pay a 1% annual custody fee that's assessed monthly. So Gemini charges 1%, to move into cold storage. So you could do that, but yeah, you can't move it off exchange into another exchange yourself, and we won't process it. You also can't make contributions yourself or withdrawals or any distributions. We have to process all that. There's a form that you'd send to us to process all that. It's locked down and contained so that we don't have any open APIs or anything like that that people can get into. We're just not allowing it. That happened. You can research it. We don't allow any of that. We never did day one. We've had some other competitors that have done that. They've had issues. I won't list them, but you can read about it all.
So how do you get over the sentiment that a lot of people have that if you don't own the private keys and you don't own it?
Yeah, I mean, it's really like personal preference, really. I mean, do the IRA LLC, do the solo K option, then you can hold the private keys. Cool. Like, part of it is like preference, part of it's like ease of use and simplicity and getting exposure fast, and not having to worry about having a checkbook IRA LLC or solo K yourself and manage all that. So part of it's like, hey, I want to manage it and do it. Like, listen, these companies, like, yeah, some of them have had some issues or breaches, but that's why they have certain insurance policies and security ratings in place to ensure that, like, you can read, all the various insurance they have. So if that is a concern and you want the private keys, then that's your opinion. Let's see, Grant saying if you don't own then in my opinion, you don't own. Cool. Do an IRA LLC. We don't care. Like, if that doesn't bother you, then you want to just be in a hot wallet on exchange, do that. I do a combination of kind of everything. I don't know. If I had probably tens of millions of dollars, I'd probably hold the private keys, but I got a few $100,000 or something. Like, I personally don't mind. So it's really personal preference. So I don't believe,
there is a flip side to that, because, like you have an account and you have a password to get into it. So it's like a bank. And basically at the end of the day, if somebody had your access to your bank account, they would also be able to have the same type of access. So, I understand both sides of the argument on this.
It's a good analogy. Your analogy's spot on, Tom. It's like, well, if you hack that, you'd have access to that too. So it's like, well, if you don't have the keys to your bank account or password to your bank account, it's not your bank account. Like, if somebody got that, like, I don't know, somebody could access your keys, your private keys. Like, they could, go get that. They could go get your ledger. Then what? It's like they got your password. So I understand.
If they have your ledger, it's almost like you're carrying around cash and you lost cash. That's how I see it.
Yeah.
So there is a risk to having your own ledger as well.
There is. And so some people, they'll put in a safety deposit box at a bank. Well, if they wanted an extra layer of security, that's not required though. But that we know of right now, it may move to that, but yeah, it's totally fine. I understand the argument both ways.
And honestly, guys, I would err on the side of caution. I know that, Aaron is still saying that, they're okay with you being the manager. Me personally, I'm not comfortable with that. I would want to have somebody else that, I mean, obviously that I trust. Obviously, I mean, that's the whole, part of this game is having somebody that you trust that actually would, help you facilitate some of those things. So yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, we all have to take risks, and we have to determine like what risk we're willing to take versus what somebody else is willing to take.
I know the argument too about, we got some strong opinions on centralized finance versus decentralized finance too.
Absolutely.
Like I totally get it. Like I agree with a lot of it, like, and share in that same sentiment. I just, do your own due diligence. If you want to structure it and that's important to you, that's why the checkbook IRA LLC, having your own solo K exists. Again, there's only so many ways that you can do it with a retirement account still. Like Fidelity hasn't come out with an option where you can have a Roth IRA and buy Bitcoin. Will that happen? I don't know. Maybe Fidelity buys us. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Like there's like, it's still early on. I will say this though, this is cool because rather than waiting to see the what ifs or maybes, or in the future, like you can get started now. And like there's options to get going now rather than sitting on the sidelines. So just get in the game. That's kind of our opinion of it.
With the biggest mind blown I've had when it gets into this crypto, everything with crypto, is it's a lot of work today. It's becoming less and less work. I promise you, in 2016, 2017, it was much harder than it is today to get into crypto. And it's going to get easier as it goes. I believe the person who's going to win is going to be the exchange or the fintech or the Web3 company that does figure out the ease and make sure everything gets connected. And I think it's going to take several platforms to kind of come together on a way to be able to make all that happen. But at the end of the day, that's kind of why the opportunity is here today now, because whenever something's hard, not a lot of people, go at it. So even though crypto is gaining popularity very quickly, even faster than, internet did when the internet was started, it is still a little bit of a barrier to entry to be able to make some of these things happen. So I really appreciate you, Aaron, for being on. It's been very informative. Thank you so much for your investment in our community. A couple of things I took away was I think it's important to get information from different sources. Like sometimes you got one person and he's stuck on his opinion on, something way over here. And then you have, other people's opinions and they're stuck kind of way over here. I always kind of want to gravitate towards the middle and figure out what I'm comfortable with. So I appreciate that as well. And also, I just want to encourage people to be don't be stuck on one custodian, even in the self-directed world. Trust me, I am personal friends with Quincy Long. I pray for him almost every week with his Parkinson's, and he's a great dear friend of mine. But I've even learned to kind of have other custodians that I'm working with, and I do encourage other people. There are pros and cons to the different custodians. I will tell you that. Before we get going, if anybody else has any other quick questions, we can put them in the chat. But I do want Aaron to share with us. It looks like you got it on the screen. Some of the other ways, other than you've already kind of shown us how to get started with directed IRA, but I do think you have some really good informative events that people might be interested in. I want to give you the opportunity to let people know about those.
I will say, if you haven't gotten Matt Sorensen's self-directed IRA handbook, go get that. You can just go to sdirahandbook.com. Just go get that book. He wrote back in 2017, he wrote on cryptocurrency and IRAs. It's in chapter 18 in his book. So you can go grab that. And Matt really is a subject matter in tax along with Mark Kohler. So earlier this year, we did a crypto tax summit. And if you're like, hey, man, sharing like grant sentiment, like, private keys, I own it, or you want to do that, then this event's for you to look at, what you would potentially be opened up to if you're going to mine, and, what UBIT, do I need to get a C Corp blocker in there? Like there's a bunch of different strategies, both on a personal front and on the retirement account front. So we're doing 2 more this year. We're doing one in May in Miami. If you can't make it, want to do virtual, you can do that. And then in end of September, or I think September, we're doing it in Austin, Texas. We also have a self-directed IRA summit. We do that twice a year in April 21st, 22nd in Costa Mesa, California, which is in Orange County by John Wayne Airport. We also do another one in October, which is in Scottsdale, Arizona. This is all in self-directed IRAs. It's not like a expo, Quest has several thousand people at an expo and has other people. This is like us teaching it. We may have like 2 or 3 outside speakers. It's like a banking partner or relationship, or like a big hedge fund speak. So it's a little bit different format. It's like us teaching than an expo. And then also, if you want to do, I still do published notes. If you want to learn more about that, we still do a couple events a year. You can go to noteworthyusa.com and see some of the events. I'm doing them in Arizona and Florida this year as well. And so, yeah, those are all the resources. And then if you want to go to directedira.com and get an account, we'd love to welcome you and, be part of that. And so I think it's awesome what you're doing, Tom, and helping arrange this, for free out of your time. Thanks everybody for taking and joining us on a Saturday, learn about how you can get crypto exposure with the retirement account and the couple resources that, are out there for you to do it with. There's a lot to learn, a lot to do, a lot of fun things to do too. Like I'm in a earn and lend product as well. That's like at 8.05%. It's like I moved money personally out of my bank into another, platform has an earn product, and I staked my crypto and I'm getting like 8% not doing anything. It's amazing. It's like, while the bank gives you like 50 bips if you're a large account holder versus like 8%. I mean, there's a lot of cool stuff in decentralized finance to look at. And I'm excited for what the future holds. We're big believers in, digital currency, the tokenization of real estate. It's going to be pretty exciting, and it's going to move super fast. Like it's like faster, similar like when the internet came online to all of us in, the 90s, and we're like, whoa, it just like moved lightning fast. And that's what we're experiencing now. And so just keep educating and, getting around good people that know what the heck they're talking about, because there's a lot of bullshit out there too. And I say that strongly because there is, and it's like super misleading, people that are not subject matter experts. It's like, I feel like it's the new shiny object thing. It's like, oh, everybody's like selling these weird NFTs, like, and if you don't even know what the heck that is, like, you could lose a fortune in it. So like, do your research and due diligence to get around some good people in a good community.
I'm glad you mentioned that, because that's really the reason why I'm doing these calls, because at the end of the day, I don't know, and I don't want to get into something that I don't understand as well. And I'm kind of not a great risk taker. Like I really, the older I get, the more money I have, the less I want to lose what I already have. Preservation of capital is very important. It may not be the most important thing, for all of my money, but it is important to me. And there's a reason why people say never lose money. And, one of the greatest investors of all times, says rule number 1, never lose money. So I really appreciate your time today. Thanks everybody for stepping on. Do want to remind everybody of our next call. So our next call is on April 2nd, a month from today. And we will have Ryan Leach on. I think Ryan was on this call for at least part of it. I'm not sure if he's still on or not, but I had a great conversation with him this week, and he's going to talk about mining, something that I'm interested in. And I think it's one of the ways you can actually create your own crypto. You don't have to actually buy it. Obviously, you got to buy machines, kind of make that happen, but definitely very interested in that call. And I'm interested in what he has to say about that as well. That's going to do it for today, guys. Again, let your friends know about the calls if you guys want to. I am planning on probably continuing this into next year, but next year we'll probably have some kind of a small pay feature for it or something, maybe something super cheap, 10 or 20 bucks a month or something to be a part of the community. I do want to remind everybody about the event. It's free. Again, it's free for everybody. We are looking for some sponsors. So I think we have 2 or 3 sponsor slots left. Me and Aaron talked about him being a sponsor at this next event for the free for all September 30th. Amelia, just kind of for sake of this event and all future of these events, just make sure you always put those in the chat box as well. But if you need more information about that, just hit me up on Facebook, or you can email me at tolson@goodsuccess.com, or if you're in the Facebook group, you can also, ask more information there. I think all the information's already there in the Facebook group. So that's going to do it for today, guys. Hope you guys have a good week. Adios and God bless.